Okay, hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be about the airline industry, qualities that they're looking for, what it's like being a flight attendant. I'm also going to answer some of the frequently asked questions and some of the differences that you might want to know if you are looking to apply in 2021. My name is Rocky. I'm a flight attendant for a major US carrier. I live in Okinawa, Japan, and I love sustainability. So that's kind of my jam. Now that I'm going back to work, I'll include a lot more videos about being a flight attendant and what it's like. Down below, I'm gonna put the chapters, so if you wanna skip to a specific section that you are most interested in, feel free to do that. So if you have any other questions that I don't manage to answer in this, please let me know in the comments and maybe I'll put that in a future video. I got my coffee, I got my notes, and let's get started. I became a flight attendant back in 2015. It's almost been 7 years, which is going to be crazy. I grew up in an airline family. Both of my parents were flight attendants. My mom is actually still a flight attendant. I have been on a leave because of the pandemic, so I have been off for about 1.5 years. I go back to work next month and I'm super pumped. But basically, I have been living in Japan with my husband. We are a military family, and so it's been a great experience living in Japan. I did post a little video of what my commute will kind of be like. I can link that somewhere. This is a career that is for someone that loves change, loves to be on the go. It keeps things exciting, and so that's why it really suits me. And if that sounds like you, this might be a great career for you. So when you first start out being a flight attendant, most likely you are going to work weekends, and for sure you are going to work holidays. That being said, a lot of people that don't succeed in this career is because they can't handle the fact of being away for really important like family and friends events. You're not gonna do that your entire career. I just wanna be straight with you. You will miss holidays with your family. But as you get more senior in this job, the longer you stay, the more it pays off. This job is completely based off of seniority. So your schedules, your routes, your pay, everything builds. When you first start, you basically get whatever they feel like giving you. Whatever's the bottom of the barrel, the trips that people don't want, but that they need to cover, most likely that will be multi-day trips, multiple legs a day. Legs are flight segments, and it's going to be weekends and holidays. When you get more senior and you have a few years under your belt, you can hold weekends off. You can hold maybe that Austin layover that you always wanted. It kind of just depends on how long you've been flying. Once you start building past like the first 3 years, you will notice a big difference in your quality of life and your quality of trips and all of that. If you think you can handle that, then this might be a good job for you. I do want to give a little disclaimer. That is saying that they will continue to hire. If it really slows down and they stop hiring, you would stay at the bottom. If the company continues to grow, more people will come underneath you, and that's what keeps building you up. And then also, as people retire, then those trips now go to the more junior people as everybody's seniority builds. So I hope that makes sense. You get your schedule 1 month in advance. You bid for what you want. You can bid off of layovers that you want, the days off that you want, the type of airplane that you want to fly, your check-in times, how long your trips are going to be. There's an endless supply of different categories that you can choose from to bid for. Different airline carriers have different ways of doing reserve. So I have something called A days where I'm basically on reserve for 6 days a month. To me, that is not that bad because I could live anywhere in the world. As long as I can get to my base, then I can do my trips and then go back home. It does become a little more difficult if you're flying an entire reserve month where you need to be close to the airport for multiple days in the month. I love having only 6 reserve days. That does go away when I get senior enough. Just like when you're on reserve, a full month of reserve for a specific airline, then after you kind of put your time in, you'll get off reserve and you'll hold a line. All of that varies on the airline, where you're based, the number of staffing, what month of the year it is. So there's a lot of different factors. I want to say on average, the number of days a month I would fly would range from 10 to maybe 15, 17 max. You get more than just your Saturday, Sunday off. You know, if people are getting 8 days a month off, flight attendants do get a lot more days off. And that's one thing that I love about this job. Besides the travel, that's like a whole nother story. But I feel like I'm only working part-time, but I'm getting like a full-time pay. And if that's like what you're looking for, is not to just like live for that 2 days off a week, this might be a good job for you. Ask a flight attendant what day of the week it is, they won't know. Okay, so we talked about scheduling, we talked about being on reserve. Let's talk about the different flights that you work. Now, people always ask me, oh, do you do international or do you do domestic? For my airline, I do everything. We're trained on every single airplane that my airline has for the major carrier. If somebody calls out sick for an international flight and I'm on one of my reserve days, then I could potentially be used to work that international flight. International pays a little bit better. The hours are a lot higher for like a 3-day trip, and you're only working one segment a day, which is what I love. Basically, those go a little bit more senior. I probably can't hold it on my line, but I can pick it up from another person. I can pick it up out of base, which is really, really nice. And then also I can get it on my reserve days, like I mentioned before. So I do fly international even though I can't hold it on my line. And now it also depends what base you're in. I'm in LA. I have yet to fly in LA. Oh, my kitty's here. Say hello to YouTube. This is Binks. Are you stuck? You're stuck. Oh boy. Getting an international flight also depends on what base that you are in. Some bases might not have international flying, or some bases might have a ton of international flying. So then it's easier to get those type of trips. So it really just depends on how senior you are and what location that you are in. Okay, let's talk about flight benefits. This is like the holy grail of why people love this job, and this is why I think I will forever be a flight attendant, because it's very difficult to say bye-bye to free flights for life. Can we fly for free? Yes, yes we can. And when you have those super hard days, you forget them all when you are doing some epic trip to Patagonia or something. You get free flights for your spouse or your partner. If you are not married, you can add a travel companion. You also get them for your parents. And if you do have kids, you also get them for your kids. You do get buddy passes. That's for people that are close to you, that are not related to you, that you want to give them like a cheaper ticket. I don't really recommend it because buddy passes are very low at the bottom. You still have to pay for it. It's usually just a hot mess. Okay, let's see. Another thing about being a flight attendant. This job can be very lonely. You are in cities you don't know, hotel rooms by yourself. You can be on a long layover and maybe you just are with a crew that you weren't vibing, or everybody kind of wanted to do their own thing, which happens a lot. So you kind of just need to be okay with going out to explore on your own. I had a kind of difficult time getting used to that, but once I did, it really wasn't that bad. I kind of just had to force myself, like, you know what? You're on a layover, you want to go see the city, it's okay to go do things by yourself. I know I've like told some friends this and they were just like, I just want to tell you, you're going to be by yourself a lot. So get comfortable with that. The way I think of it is like me time. You can read books, you could do whatever you want. You only have to deal with yourself, which hopefully isn't that bad. Oh boy, I feel like I could go on forever and this is just gonna be a mishmash of information. What was I even talking about? One time I had a layover on St. Patrick's Day and there was a speakeasy that I really wanted to go check out and none of my crew wanted to go. And I was like, this is really weird. I don't really want to go to a bar by myself, but I really want to see the speakeasy. And so I just went. I went and I just tried to find that confidence deep down inside, and I loved it. I sat at the bar, had my drink, saw my cool speakeasy, talked to the bartender, went home to my hotel. It was all good. I just want to tell you, if you are looking into getting this job, the realities of what it will be like. And that is gonna be a lot of alone time. And I do see people that don't succeed in this business as they don't like to be alone. It's either really boring or they don't feel comfortable. So feel comfortable traveling and exploring on your own, and that will be really awesome for you in the airline industry. Tips for becoming a flight attendant, either in your interview, your video recording. I'm not exactly sure what the process is like today or will be. I have seen some really awesome tips by other flight attendant YouTubers, so go check those out. Any kind of question that they ask you, give examples of how it relates to you or how it relates to the job that you have prior or what you did, while you were getting your degree on the side. So I know that they did ask me like what adversity that I had faced when I had experience with a very difficult customer, things like that, instead of just saying, do what you can to help solve their problem and find them a solution. No, give them example. Okay, I dealt with this very difficult customer. This was the situation. Here's how I handled it. This is their reaction. Tell them a story. Dive deep into prior experiences, anything that you can really give examples that highlights your customer service, highlights how you work in a team environment. It's called the STAR method. Research into that when you're looking into becoming a flight attendant. They love that. And it's really good because it gives them a chance to get to know you better and kind of get more examples of how you deal with issues in your own life or in your professional life. Let's talk about some qualities that the airlines are looking for. They definitely want to see people that are customer service oriented and people that they can count on. Being reliable and on time is huge in this industry. You have to be there for your flight on time or you will get in big trouble. And being able to handle any type of customer, whether they're angry, complaining, anxious, you name it. They want you to be able to handle it. Give examples for what would make them realize that you would be perfect for this position. They do want people that have a good grasp of what the job is like, what the lifestyle is like. So they do want to see your adaptability. There are lots of different types of people that do work in this industry. You need to be able to work well with them and treat them with the utmost respect and professionalism. And what's super cool in this job is that you are working with different people all the time. And so you might have not even met your best friend yet. Maybe next month you're gonna get a trip together and you're gonna have a great time in Vegas and that person will be your friend for life. On the longer layovers and those longer trips, that's kind of where you're going to find those people that will be in your life past the trip. All of the people that are most memorable to me is when I was in Amsterdam on a boat ride or walking in the French Quarter with a friend on a New Orleans layover. Okay, let's talk about bases. Bases are where you start and end your trip. A lot of people ask me, because I live in Japan, oh, am I based in Japan? No, unfortunately not. I'm based in LA. So that means on my own time, the company does not give me these days off. I have to fly from Japan to LA, then I start my trips. Also, you want to give yourself a backup flight. And so I'm not going to fly in right before my trip starts in 2 hours. I'm going to fly in the day before or 2 days before. There are multiple bases for each major US airline. However, all of them have different cities. And so if you are very specific about you only want to be based in this specific city, only apply to that airline. And that's not even a guarantee that you will get that base right out of training, but at least you know in the future you might be able to get it. If there are specific cities that you want, apply to those airlines only. That's my advice for you. But if you're applying, you should be flexible, right? If you are based in a city that you don't live in, it is possible to commute. A lot of people quit because the commute is too hard. The last thing you want to do after flying 10 days in a row of flying or whatever is then hop on another plane or 2 or 3 to get home. If you're willing to move to base, your life will be so much easier. So if you have the ability to and you don't have roots planted somewhere, I recommend doing that. Now, you don't have to, you still can succeed in this job if you live somewhere else. I just want you to know that commuting can be very hard. Luckily for my company, we do have the ability to book a jump seat. And so that does help people that are commuting kind of know that they have a guaranteed seat on that flight. You might not get a passenger seat, but you do have the ability to sit on a jump seat. But if the plane changes and stuff like that, you know, there's always other scenarios where it doesn't work out. But that does give you a little bit of peace of mind. For other airlines, I know that that is not an option, and it is all first come, first serve, which that would be very difficult for me. But people make it work. People make it work. So don't let it deter you, but just know that it will be a challenge. Okay, should we talk pay? I personally think this job pays pretty well, but it's all relative, right? So if you were getting some six-figure job working in the tech industry and you're like, I can't handle the grind 9 to 5, I want to be a flight attendant, travel the world, you are going to get a pay decrease. But if you're doing it for the job, then the pay doesn't matter as much. Like I said, it's all relative. Each year you get a pay raise. It's a little bit every year, but it's not based off performance, it's just based off of seniority. And at 12 years, you do max out. Now, if I can find it on the internet, I will post the pay right here. So you get paid based off of your flight hours. That is from when the brakes move on the plane and you're like on the active runway or like they shut the door to move. And then from when you like deplane. That being said, all the time you're in the airport, you're on the layover, you're not getting that main flight pay. And that is like the majority of the take-home pay that we have. But we also get time away from base pay. So that's from the time that you check in for your trip to the time that your trip is done. And it's literally like only a few dollars an hour, but that is going your entire trip. You also get paid more if you are working as the lead or purser. That's going to be like the A flight attendant. They're kind of the ones in charge of mainly the first class, so they do get paid a little bit more. After 6 months, you become lead qualified, and then you could work any lead flight. If you want to be a purser or work as a lead flight attendant on an international flight, that's a completely different process. You apply for it, you do an interview, and you do more training to be purser qualified. Another question that I get a lot, or a concern, is what happens if I have kids or I want kids? It is completely possible to have kids and be in this industry, but you just have to adapt. You definitely need a support system, whether that's a family friend, a family member, you know, a child care center, a great reliable babysitter, working with your spouse or partner about your schedule. You do need to have some kind of support system because the job changes frequently and you can't count on a set schedule for yourself. For my personal experience, my mother, and this is an option for other people too, once you have a couple years in, there are other opportunities that come up. So if you were looking into maybe getting a more office type position as a field service manager or doing some kind of special projects, those do come up, and so that's an option for you too. My mom did that when I was younger. She became a supervisor while I was from like age 1 to 5, I think. And so I love the fact that my mom was a flight attendant. I got to travel with her all around the world when I was younger, and so I loved it. It really gave me a world view, and I think it made me street smart by traveling at a young age. I wouldn't change anything about her job. She loved it, I loved it, and we just made it work. Another tip if you are looking into getting a position in the airline industry, I know this has been said before, but I just have to say it. Do not say it's because you love to travel or you want to travel. Everybody wants to travel and loves to travel in this job. At least I think so. So they want to see something unique and more personable, and just don't say that in your interview. I'll leave it at that. Safety is the number one important thing. And this is the main thing that I do want to point out for 2021. For whatever reason, people are going crazy in the air or on the ground or just flying in general. Almost every day we're seeing something on the news about like a flight attendant being attacked or a person going irate and throwing punches and people in the airport acting completely inappropriate, cussing out, gate agents. It's just terrible. It's terrible. I don't know the exact reason for it. Obviously, it started with the pandemic and the mask mandate and everything, and it's just wild. And so flight attendants are under a lot more pressure of more irate passengers. People are taking out their frustrations with society and the mask mandate and just everything that's going on, and for some reason they're unleashing it onto flight crew. I have not personally experienced this. I have heard stories from my mom, stories from my friends, or just seeing it on the news. I don't think this is gonna last forever, but it is an issue that we're dealing with. And so I just wanna paint a picture that is realistic, that you do know what you're getting into. And so safety is the #1 priority for us. And we're just trying to get you from point A to point B in the safest way possible. And if we can make your day by giving you a better flight, a better experience to get you from point A to B, that is even better. Anyways, I think I've rambled enough. If you want to subscribe because I helped you out, or you want to hit that like button, by all means do so. I would be very appreciative. If you have other questions that I did not get to answer today, please leave me a comment and I will make a future video for you. I really hope this helped. I'm going back to flying next month and I cannot wait, and I think I will take you along with me to see how that transition goes back to LA and Japan and all that stuff. I'm gonna keep up with my Okinawa videos, so if you are interested in my life in Okinawa, also subscribe and I will keep those going too. So thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. I really hope this helped and I hope y'all have a good day.